Hello, hello. Welcome to this edition of At the Mic. I am your host, Keith Malinak. A lot going on here. Let me get this tweeted out. Okay. Whew. So much going on. Hey, if you missed yesterday's, what is it, the Wednesday wild card slash WTF Wednesday from the dailymojo.com where Brad hangs out, go find that. Hero Wes, he posts everything we do here over at atmshow.com. So you'll want to go and check that out. He's broken it into some awesome, different sections. Thank you so much, Wes, for all that you do. His handle, of course, is at Second Floor Dallas over on X. And then, of course, Gabby's handle is at Jeffy Apologist over on X. And she handles the Instagram page for At the Mike Show. A lot going on over there, and I'm so grateful for her. If you are not watching this at 3 p.m. Eastern, if you're watching this later on YouTube or Rumble or listening on Spotify, just know that it's right now it's 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, March 12th. So I want to get that out there. There's some confusion sometimes. But so I want you to know that I do this every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern on X. At Keith Malinak is that handle. If you're listening, there's no chance you're going to be able to spell this. I hope it's in the show title, my name. I don't know. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, do all the things, please. If you could share this show with just one other person, it sure would be helpful. And I and the whole team here would be grateful. Anyway, what is it? atmshow.com. And we're doing a fundraiser to help keep everything going here between us and the Daily Mojo. That's the givesendgo.com/ATM Daily Mojo. Is that enough? Is that enough information? Because I got to get my guy in here. You need to follow him at Steve Baker USA on X. Hi, Steve. Here, my coworker over at theblaze.com, where you do so much good work and great writing, which reminds me, I want to make this easy for everybody. What I have done is I went ahead and drafted the tweet here. It says, read Steve Baker USA's awesome stories at the Blaze. And I put a link. I've already typed in Steve Baker in the search engine for the Blaze. So all you have to do is go to this tweet that I just posted, click on that, and you'll see all of Steve's great work. And I do mean great. Buddy, how's it going?
It's going good. And since you put that out there, and of course, I just shared the link to the live stream on my X page as well. And by me doing that, that means that you should have some extra viewers today. I mean,
hi everybody.
The FBI, CIA.
I think they're all right. I've had so many shows about the FBI.
A couple of law firms will be interested. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But I'm doing good.
I think whenever I have you on or FBI whistleblower Steve Friend on, I believe the Hoover Building IP addresses show up in mass for sure.
So, yeah.
Man, okay. So before
check Langley today. See if you get the IP addresses from Langley today.
I would love that. That reminds me. I need to do a CIA. It's been a while since I've done a show on the CIA. So okay, let's first touch base on you because you haven't been on this show in a while. And I don't know that you've been on since you had your health scare late last year, right around Christmas.
Yeah.
What happened? So. And is there an update? What's going on, man?
Oh gosh. Gosh, what was it? It was the Sunday before Christmas. Mm-hmm. What was Christmas last year on a Thursday? Anyway, so the Sunday before Christmas,
okay.
I suffered quote unquote acute heart failure, and I had symptoms leading up to it, but I didn't recognize the symptoms. I thought I had bronchitis or something like that. I had a chronic dry cough. I had trouble breathing, had kind of a little gurgling in my wind, that sort of thing. And of course I didn't know what was going on. and I was working right through it.
How long had these symptoms been showing up?
Um, I want to say if I really stretch it out with my imagination, I would say maybe up to 2 months before, but really became prevalent in the 2 weeks leading up to that. And and again, I just thought it was a, matter of, I don't know, when it was, the dead of winter. I'm working hard. I mean, I'm walking the streets of DC every day. We were investigating the pipe bomber story. We were, in fact, on the Friday and Saturday. So the event that where I had to go to the ER and ultimately they put me in ICU was on a Sunday. But on that Friday and Saturday, the 2 days before that, I was in DC out on the streets measuring bricks and concrete blocks and pavement and gutters where the pipe bomber, the J6 pipe bomber with, the one wearing the hoodie and all of that. And then also the kid that they arrested, Brian Cole Jr., and claims to be the pipe bomber. I'm out measuring with tape, literally with a tape measure, where both of those individuals had walked in their life so that we could get accurate foot size measurements and, things like that. So I'm walking around out in the cold, in the dead of winter. I'm in Brian Cole's neighborhood. I'm interviewing neighbors. I'm interviewing other people that know him. I'm working. I'm putting in the hours and doing it outside. And then of course, when you're in DC, you walk everywhere. You don't, so it's what I'm used to doing. And I like to do that. But I noticed that on that Friday and Saturday, in fact, my partner in crime and, co-writer on most of these stories related to January 6th, Joe Hanneman, I remember calling him on the Friday. I was leaving the Rayburn Congressional Office building, and I was walking up Capitol Hill. And it's not a steep incline, but it's a gradual, steady incline.
Yeah.
And I got one block, and I had to stop. And I told Joe, I said, man, I don't know what's going on, but man, I can't breathe. And this was on Friday, 2 days before my event, our heart event. And I said, I can't breathe. I got to stop. So whatever I can't remember what the next congressional office building up is, Longworth or whatever it is. Anyway, I stopped on the steps there and just sat down. And then on Saturday, I was actually down at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and was measuring the places where the exact spots where the hoodied bomber had stepped back on the evening of January 5th, 2021. We had, video of this, so I can actually I could pull it up on my phone, screenshots. We had some specific screenshots that we identified that we wanted to get measurements on. So then we could, reverse the math and get actual measurements of both foot size, length of stride, things of those natures to compare it to Brian Cole, which, by the way, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but we've got that story coming out on hopefully Monday.
All right.
And a lot of man hours in putting this new story that we have out. But anyway, so, and again, it goes back, 2.5, 3 months ago. So I finished measuring at the DNC, and I started walking toward where the Blaze offices are up on Capitol Hill. And it's not a far walk. I mean, I don't know, half a mile. I mean, it's a piece of cake walk for me under normal circumstances. Well, I was only a block away from the office, and there's a Starbucks right there. I couldn't move anymore. I stopped at the Starbucks, went inside, ordered a coffee, and then I had to sit down for 2 hours before I felt good enough and had enough wind to move again. And then at that point, I didn't even go to the office. I got an Uber, went back to my hotel in Arlington across the river, and got checked out, got in my car and headed home. So that was on Saturday night that I got home. And then by late Sunday afternoon, I knew I was in trouble and had to get to the ER. So,
oh my goodness. Okay, so you're in the ER. Did we get a diagnosis? What's happening here?
yeah. So, well, when I get there, they immediately recognize the stress, and it's an actual, it's a heart, it's what they call a Rex, UNC hospital in Raleigh, North Carolina, has a brand new, state of the art cardiology center, and the ER is right there. And so I go in, they immediately recognize the distress. They got an EKG going, and then all of a sudden, and I don't know if he was a nurse or an orderly or whatever, he comes, grabs a wheelchair, throws me on the wheelchair, and starts running down the hallway. I mean, he's pushing me at great speed. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "We're coding you." And I went, "Wait a minute. What do you mean coding? I thought when you coded, that means you're flatlining." He said, "That's the way we're about to treat you right now." He said, we think you're in the middle of a heart attack."
Oh.
And so they throw me into this really advanced, I don't know, triage room or whatever. It's got all the high tech, video screens and everything. It looked like a set from, Star Trek, the Next Generation in there. And all of a sudden there's like 7 or 8. I don't know what they are. I don't know. They're physician assistants, nurses, doctors. I don't know. They are stripping my clothes off of them. Of course, 80% of them were women. And I mean, I'm just completely, I'm thinking to myself, well, all right, well, this is how it goes. So,
normally you have to pay extra for that.
Yeah. If this is my last memories on earth, at least I've got women taking my clothes off.
There you go.
I'm serious, Keith. I'm not, it was a bizarre, surreal moment because I had no fear at all. I mean, I wasn't scared. I was fascinated by the process.
Wow.
And I did. And one of the things that went through my mind and it stuck with me because I cataloged it because I never would have expected this. I would have expected fear, dread of the unknown. What about my kids? Do I need to call, what do I need to do? And instead I was thinking, okay, all right, well, if this is it, it's it. I'm going to try my best to, chronicle it all and see, what the transition is like. And if it's not it, I'm just about to go through a major heart surgery or something like that. Then
you're thinking, I'm going to write a story about crossing over.
Yeah,
the journalist in you is like, okay, I don't have my notepad. I don't have my phone, but I got to remember all this because I might be writing a story about this one day.
Exactly. I mean, I had nothing but curiosity and fascination at that moment and no fear at all. And so, they're stripping my clothes off and they're putting electrodes all over, my chest and my stomach, my back. And then all of a sudden they start hitting me with some, they didn't give me a general anesthesia, but they're hitting me with locals down around my groin area because they're going in, they're going in up through my veins and arteries or whatever.
Right.
And so they're going into my heart with a camera, essentially. They're injecting dye into me and I can see it all happening on the screen. Wow. I can see the doc that's doing it and he's down there, jamming this tube or, these series of whatever, whatever the heck it is.
Can I just sidetrack for just a quick second? Who do you think was the first person to go, what we might want to try to do is to get to the heart, let's go through the leg. I mean, that is just fascinating,
It is. I mean, look, we spend a lot of time in the news media criticizing medicine, insurance, pharmaceuticals, things like, and there's plenty there to analyze and criticize. But what they have accomplished in medical science is just insanely fascinating.
Yeah, that's
The
a good
fact
tease
they're
for
not
next Wednesday's show,
the fact
criticizing the
they're not
medical community.
cracking my chest,
Yeah,
bone
right,
open and peeling me open like a,
right.
chicken and going in direct. They're coming up through my groin with a camera. And
That's fascinating.
yeah,
It is.
and then the fact that I'm awake and I can
Yeah.
see it. I'm watching it. And so I see the frustration because the technician or the doctor or whoever's doing this, he's getting really frustrated because he's up there jamming this thing up, and I'm seeing the inside of my heart, and he's going into the different valves and ventricles and
What are you
veins and
feeling? Physical pain? Like what?
no pain at all.
Wow.
It's discomfort. I felt discomfort.
Okay, yeah, but they had you on a drip or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt discomfort, but I didn't feel any pain.
Okay.
And so he's suddenly he's like expressing the fact that there's no blockages. I don't have any, buildups in any of my veins, my arteries, the valves, the ventricles, the whatever you call them, nothing. There's nothing. There's no blockages at all. And that's what typically, that's what they're looking for. They, you typically end up, that's why you have to have bypass surgeries or have a stent put in or something like that. And I was clean and green, man. I'm, and at my age, that's pretty good,
Yeah, and so no, the doctor, it wasn't a poker face, huh? You saw the look on his face, huh? He was like,
I mean, the
"What is
screens
happening?"
so I've got the screens up on my left side here, and then he's, down here.
Uh-huh.
So I can see him. I can see his face and his hands working, and I'm looking up at the screen, and I can see his frustration, and of course he's talking, and it's like there was again, like there's 7 or 8 people in varying colors of surgical gear and what do they call them? They're
Orderlies. No.
The clothes they wear,
Yeah, I mean everybody's got it's color coded in there, but I don't know what means what.
So so I'll never forget at some point this lady in blue scrubs, she goes, acute heart failure. And I'm watching the screen and I jerked my head around to this group of people standing in a semicircle watching the screens. And they're looking at the EKG on other screens. They're looking at, what he's doing on, 2 or 3 other big screens. And I remember raising my finger up and pointing at her and said, you in the blue, what did you just say? She said, acute heart failure. I'm like, okay, well, somebody explain this to me, So long story short,
take your time, please. This is fascinating, dude.
I have what is, what was or is a fairly common malady, and that's what do they call it? Atrial fibrillation or AFib. And I had been apparently for some time suffering a problem where my heart was not beating regularly in its proper tempo and pace and rhythm. And as a result, my heart was getting weaker and weaker and weaker as it was literally failing. And the symptoms that I was noticing that I thought might be, cold or bronchitis or maybe even, mild pneumonia or something was actually a buildup of blood and fluids in my lungs that because my heart wasn't strong enough to pump my fluids through my body and particularly to extract them, from my lungs. And another really curious and really frustrating side symptom to that was I had been putting on this gut. There was nothing I could do diet wise. Didn't matter how many meals I skipped. It didn't matter what I how I controlled my diet, how much exercise I did. Nothing. I could not lose this growing gut, and it was and by then it had gotten to like basketball size. And
you were the pregnant man emoji from Apple.
I was, and so I was horrified, because it's interesting that for our other colleague Matt Kibbe, Blaze TV guy, he asked me if I would interview Congressman Thomas Massey on pipe bomb related stuff for his show. So I mean, I thought it was an honor. Matt would give me the interviewer slot to interview the congressman, and we did it in Massey's office. And when I saw the playback and I saw this basketball in my gut, I was embarrassed. And I mean, I couldn't button my sports jackets; they wouldn't button. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't realize that this was the buildup of fluids in the bottom of my lungs. And so consequently, after they got me in the hospital, 2 days later, I had shed 15 pounds of this fluid, and all of a sudden it's back flat again.
I don't want to be that's stunning. I'm not trying to be salacious here, but how does it come out? Are you just constantly peeing or what? I
mean, yeah, they give you these diuretics that make you just, I mean, you're in the hospital,
but your office in the bathroom.
But yeah, it's like it's, and of course you can't pee in the, because this is probably TMI for everybody, but they don't let you pee in the toilet. You have to pee into, a container that they then measure, because they're measuring. So they're measuring how much fluid that I'm getting rid of, right?
Oh, okay.
So I mean, so for a week, a solid week, every time I had to go to the restroom, which was very frequently, I had to.
You in the blue. It's your turn to measure this.
And of course, they were like insistent that I could do it from the bed, and I'm like, no, I'll get up. I will go through the process of getting it up, getting up and going. So
I got a little dignity left.
And of course I was wired up. I had
oh yeah.
I had oxygen in my nose. I had tubes going in both arms, so I'd have to get up and drag my,
yep.
All the bags that were feeding me and keeping me alive.
I've been connected to those enough times. Yeah. Nothing as dramatic as what you went through, but I know exactly what you mean. You're like, oh, sorry, y'all, I gotta pee again, and then they have to follow you, and then they wait out. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, brother. Okay, so how long were you in the hospital?
Full week. I celebrated Christmas. My kids came up to see me, and a few other, friends and family, and so I had Christmas this year in the hospital.
How are you doing right now? What is what do we know? Okay, so you had the lady in blue told you the acute heart failure or something was happening right there. Did they say to you, this is what caused it? Like, is there anything specific?
There are so many things that can cause it, or it can just happen. You can be genetically predisposed to it, or whatever. But
natural.
Yes, stress is a big factor.
Have you been under any kind of stress in the last, say, 5 years or so? So, bro, okay. Obviously, between what you've been through with J6, well, hell, it's all J6 related. I can imagine. No, I can't imagine the kind of stress that you've been under. But I will say that people like me and people like me with our proclivities toward conspiracy, seeing the timing of your health issues and your near-death experience and what you were reporting on, and knowing who your enemies are, quite frankly, in our own government, in this administration, people like me were like, oh, hell no. they are not trying to kill my friend.
Hmm.
Can we write that off as any kind of outside influence doing this to you, other than the stresses of what you've been going through in your reporting and your what the Biden administration did to you? In other words, is it just stress, or was there anything else beyond that maybe was?
Like I said, there are all kinds of factors. Alcohol and nicotine. Those are blamed, or are used to blame on everything.
We haven't gone drinking in a while. Are you done with that?
Well, let me tell you what I am doing. So there's all kinds of really good non-alcoholic beers now, which I did not know until this happened. So I brought a couple of examples. That was Sierra Nevada Trail Pass IPA. This is called the Athletic Brewing Company Run Wild IPA. I'm drinking the Sierra Nevada right now. It's in this cup.
Uh-huh.
And then there's some other really good. I mean, there's an entire new market for that as people are becoming more health conscious and that sort of thing.
Well, that's good. I have a designated driver now.
Yeah. Well, here's the truth of the matter is that, since we're on that topic, I don't miss the alcohol at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I like good beer.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Good for you.
I like good beer. I like expensive scotch.
Uh-huh.
And fine wines. There's no way they're going to be able to recreate a Macallan 18 or a Lagavulin 16 scotch.
That's too bad. See, maybe that's a business venture you need to tackle.
Yeah.
Is alcohol-free scotch. I mean, even saying that phrase makes me sick.
I mean, if they could do that, or they could create a great, old fashioned with a non-alcoholic bourbon, I'd be all over it, because I do not miss the alcohol. And these are so good. They're indistinguishable from a real beer. And I think it tricks your brain into like going,
all right.
Wow. And I've been experimenting with them, and I'm about to expand my search because I have been so impressed with some of them. Now, they're not all good. Some of them are not good.
Cutter.
Yeah. O'Doul's.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The Guinness non-alcoholic is almost there. I can, in fact, tell the difference between a real Guinness and the non-alcoholic Guinness, but it's not bad.
Okay.
It's not offensive, but I can tell the difference. These two IPAs right here, the reason why I even showed them to you was because if you ordered these at a bar and you did not know that they were non-alcoholic, you would not be able to tell the difference between either of them and a otherwise really good IPA. It's indistinguishable.
Well, maybe I'll stop drinking alcohol. I mean, once I clear the cabinet, but after
that. Right. Yeah, don't waste it.
I am not. I am too cheap to be wasting a cabinet full of booze. So,
I'll finish. I'll just finish this by saying, answer your question. My cardiologist has told me that he's not offended if I have the occasional cocktail or drink or whatever. And so I have, since this thing, I've limited that, but the trade-off is that if I am traveling, and I've been allowed to travel a few times now. So if I've been up in DC and I've had meetings with, sources or whoever, I have, had a drink, like I'll have a really good scotch, but I'm spending more in buying better scotch now than I was before. So rather than having,
look at you,
Well, no, but rather than having, 3 that I could afford, I'm having
Yeah.
one that otherwise I wouldn't normally pay for.
Yeah. So there's non-alcoholic beer, obviously. We're gonna figure out a market for non-alcoholic. We're gonna figure out the formula for non-alcoholic bourbon and scotch. But
Yeah.
I guess is non-alcoholic wine. That's just grape juice, I guess.
I'm afraid, so yes, it exists. Actually, there
Oh,
is they are in the stores, non-alcoholic wines,
really?
but I am absolutely I mean, I'm going to get there. I'm going to buy one, or I'm going to, go to a
Yeah.
tasting or something. But I do not, I cannot believe that it can be that a fine, really good, name your favorite, grape, Cabernet, Beaujolais, Shiraz, whatever. I just can't believe that it can be recreated without the
Mm.
actual,
See,
aging process.
I love the taste of wine. The problem is for me, and I've talked about this before, is it makes me cough, and it's sulfites. But I guess over in Europe, France in particular, they sell wine that doesn't have sulfites in it, and so I need a bottle of sulfite-free wine because I think that would be fun. But anyway, there you go.
Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it and see if it's worth it. But all of the restaurants, even the really nice restaurants, have what they call mocktails.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all girly drinks. They're all real sweet drinks.
I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I don't care what kind of glass it comes in. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if there's pieces of fruit dangling off the edge of the cup, the glass. I don't care if I like the way it tastes. So help me, I'm gonna down it. I wanna throw this out there. Look at that, Mary Carruthers. She says there are some non-alcoholic scotches out there. Oh,
Well, if there are, I'll give it a shot.
okay. And then one last point here that Kara made, if I can find her comment here, and you're not required to answer this, but it is something that crosses the mind whenever you hear of a heart issue. She's like, "Is it COVID jab connected?"
Nope.
Okay.
Never had the jab.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to lay that to rest. Well, I'm so grateful that you're on the road to recovery. I know you still have issues as you continue your trajectory upward. We'll be thinking about you and praying for you, and that you get to 100% restored health, my friend. And yeah, just keep us updated. And my gosh, I'm so glad that you went to the ER, man. I'm glad you weren't too stubborn.
Well, that was the problem. My stubbornness made it worse than it was because by the time I gave in, I should have just, gone to the doctor weeks out, like you're supposed to, but I'm not that person. But because I waited as long as I did, by the time I got there, my heart was only operating at 10% of its normal function. And even just a couple of weeks ago when I had my last, what do they call that? The echocardiogram, to test it, I was up to 22.4%. So I'm recovering. Yeah, but my cardiologist told me that I have to be patient, that my recovery has to be measured in months and not days. And I'll have a run where I'll have a few days where I just feel normal and I want to get out and conquer the world, and then I'll go into a few days of particularly when they start adjusting my meds or add something that they did, and they did that this week. I mean, when they do that, I had the worst spell yesterday of vertigo, dizziness, blurry vision that I've had since the whole thing happened. And it was all related to a complete schedule adjustment and additional stuff in my med cocktail that they put on me. And I felt great yesterday morning. I was out on my deck. I was pacing around. I'm talking on the phone. I'm doing the thing and, talking to sources and talking to our partners working with us on these investigations. And I'm feeling great. And then about 2:00 in the afternoon, I started feeling really weird. By 3:00 in the afternoon, I mean, I was having like just to walk down the hall to the restroom. I'm having to hold the walls just to get there. So it happened. And then today I'm fine again. So
Okay. All right. You keep us updated, man. We care about you.
thank you.
Yeah. So let's go back to your stay at the hospital. 4-star resort. Yeah. Great.
Actually, really nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Really?
it was it's a new cardiac thing. And before, I know where you're going, but the funny part is that when they were going down all of the my new diet plans and blah 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 blah. And I 40-page manual. I had already read it cover to cover twice. I told the doctor that was going through this with me, and they're from their what they call their heart failure team. And I said, that's a really shitty name for, I said, you guys need to rebrand that. How about heart recovery team?
Hey.
It's not hard to think up a more positive sounding, thing. And it says it right on their their white jackets, heart failure team. I told him, I said, it's really awful. And then
sounds like a 50-plus men's softball team.
Yeah.
Heart failure team.
Yeah, it's horrid. Nothing but negative thoughts come to mind when you see that. And so now we get to the diet part of everything that we're discussing. And I said, look, I've read the whole thing. I said, it's the worst diet plan I've ever seen in life. I said, it's like you guys went out there and you reprinted the original, FDA food, pyramid.
Call RFK.
And I said this to the doc. I said these exact words. I said, as a matter of fact, your recommended diet for my condition is what built this new Ephesus, this new cardiac center. And you know what she did? She went, yeah, you're right.
Our bad. Yep. I mean, that's the thing.
I said, I will not be following that diet.
That's the thing, bro. Going back to the technology stuff that we were in awe of that you were talking about earlier. The technology in the healthcare sector is incredible.
Yep.
It's incredible. The common sense aspect it feels like it's in the dark ages. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, next Wednesday at 3 p.m. We're going to talk to a guest that's going to go over if she was a nurse during the COVID era. We cannot forget the insanities of that era and just let them get away with this, although they already have. Yeah. But it's just and look, and I just can I just throw this out there? I don't want to make this about me, and I don't want anybody to panic. I did see Kara talking about Blaze personalities, health issues, because I'm fine. I just want everybody to know I'm fine. But I'm kind of pissed at my doctor. I had to go in for some other stuff earlier this week. And I mentioned that I had this annoying cough. And I thought he was going to give me some almost like an allergy, I'm trying to think of what it is. Anyway, steroids. Just knock this thing out. It's just some sort of, I've done this before, Dude goes, I know most of the audience has seen Breaking Bad. Right. Okay. How does it start? Walter White has the cough. Next thing you know, it's lung cancer. He says, my doctor goes, well, actually, protocol is, he's like the actually guy. No, I love him to death, but he's like, actually, the protocol for someone with a nagging cough like that is for chest x-rays to rule out lung cancer. Now, if it's lung cancer, then I'll go, thank God my doctor is awesome. But it's not going to be. It just seems like overkill. And this goes back to the whole common sense thing. It's like, hey, maybe we just knock it out with steroids and we don't have to, line up an appointment to get a chest x-ray for lung cancer, that I'm not a smoker and all that. I know, I got it, Christopher Reeve. But anyway, let's see. It was who was it? Is his wife that died? Who died? That because you can get lung cancer without being a smoker. But I tried to convince him to just to just give me the damn steroid and then we'll worry about the other. But no, I got to go in for that next week. So I just, the whole medical, bringing it back to the whole point is some of it's incredible. Some of it is ridiculous. Right. And here we are, man.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, while you're in the hospital, you get a guest stops by and visits you, huh?
Yeah. And the story of that is pretty amazing. I'll tell you what.
Uh-oh.
As I foretold, I'm going to have to take one of those 5-minute breaks.
Do it, man.
Don't usually have to do this. I apologize to everybody, but I'm living under a new regime now. So I'm going to take one of those 5-minute breaks. So that this is like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because there's a really, really interesting answer to that story.
Yep. I will take
that
you
question
off the screen, and when I see you come back to your spot, I'll bring you back, man.
All right.
All the time you need, man.
I'll be back in 5.
Sure thing. Yeah. So as he continues his road to recovery, obviously the fatigue is a thing. He just talked about having to stop for 2 hours after walking a block in DC. So, yeah, please do keep Steve Baker in your prayers, because he's still, what did he say? He said he's down to 10%. He's up to 22% of his heart working. And he is, you're right, Mary. He is looking great. Agree completely. And I just do not want to be the reason for him feeling any kind of discomfort or anything negative on his health. While I've got you, though, I do want to mention, I know I've said this a lot lately, and I'm sorry that it hasn't quite worked out for at least a month. But I kind of think we might get a full house tomorrow, at least to start. For the Friday live stream. What do we have, about 23 hours from now? Myself, Brad Staggs, Rebecca Mr. Reagan, which is actually pronounced Mr. Never mind. And of course, Kelly Smith as well. So we might actually have all 4 right now. Right now, it's looking like all 4 will be here tomorrow for the Friday live stream. I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, though. It's been one of those weeks as far as trying to do any kind of preparation. So we'll just wing it. And look, let me just point something out here. If for whatever reason Rebecca can't make it and she has to take care of the baby, we have a cardboard cutout of her. See this right here? So she can join us like this. And then when Kelly's going to have to leave about halfway through and go take care of her stuff. And so we will be joined by Rebecca and Kelly one way or another. What's wrong with that Sharpie? Oh, it's got the Scotch tape. Yeah, the packing tape. And so the marker didn't quite do its thing. So Rebecca and Kelly will be here one way or another. This really looks awkward out of context. Okay. So please join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. For the Friday live stream, Friday happy hour, Friday, whatever the hell it's called. I honestly don't even know. It's got like 7 names now. Okay. Let's see here. Mr. Steve Baker. He has returned. And how you doing, man? You all right?
I'm good. Yeah, no, I feel fine.
Okay, good.
I'm good.
Well, you know what? The last time I heard I feel fine, that's usually preceded by it's the end of the world as we know it. But so, and it might be, honestly, it might be at this point.
I know that song.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in the hospital, and then tell me what happens.
So, all right. So here's the lead up to the answer to this story. And this is a story in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So you remember I said that in the days leading up to my heart failure event, I was in DC. Friday, I have we'll just call it a black bag meeting with intelligence community source. And it was roughly around noon on Friday.
Black bag meeting, you put your cell phone in a
Faraday cage bag. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this particular guy carries a Faraday briefcase. So our devices went in there.
Oh, nice. I got a couple of those sitting around here somewhere.
Yeah. And so he reveals something to me of not just blockbuster proportions with regards to the investigations that we've been working on, but it's really, really dark and tragic. And may even the impact of that knowledge that I received at noon on that Friday could have even accelerated what was coming on Sunday, 2 days later. Um, when I finished that meeting, I called up our editor in chief at the Blaze and told him that there was no other choice. Whatever he was doing, he had to come meet me face to face, leave his phone in the car, and I would tell him what I just learned. So it's exactly what happened. So he picked a place on the Virginia side of the river, and it was a dive bar that he knew about, and middle of the afternoon, so there was nobody there. And we left our phones in the car. He sat down. I told him what I had just learned. He's a good Catholic, and he immediately crossed himself like 5 times. I mean, it was like, as soon as I told him what I had just learned. So, the guy who has been the guy in Congress who has been the best at and the most on and in tune with and bird dogging the pipe bomb story has been Congressman Thomas Massie. Now, I know Massie is a lightning rod. I know he's being vilified. I mean, God, yesterday the president's in Kentucky, telling people not to vote for him.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. That's
cartoonish, embarrassing, pathetic.
Yeah.
I could go on.
Yeah. You and I both. And it doesn't matter how the people that are listening to us right now think about Thomas. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Okay. You may hate some of his recent votes, but at the very least, honor him as a man of principle. I'll tell you something before I finish this story. I'll tell you something that Thomas Massie did when he won the Epstein file vote. And you know that out of both houses of Congress, and Trump signed that bill, only one congressman voted against his bill. You know who it was? Do you remember?
Hang on. Republican or Democrat? I like these games.
It was a Republican.
Voted against the bill.
So he got 100% of the Senate voting for his bill to release the Epstein files.
Okay.
And he got statistically, 99.9% of the vote in the House. Only one congressman voted against it.
What state?
Louisiana.
Oh no, John Kennedy. I'm sorry, he's senator.
He's senator.
Shoot. I don't know who that would be then.
It was Clay Higgins.
What?
So when Clay Higgins voted against it,
I missed this.
Yeah. Massie went up to him on the House floor and gave him a big hug and told him that he absolutely honored and respected him as a man of principle, because Higgins' problem was a procedural issue and not the point of the bill.
I remember a clip like this now. Yeah.
And Thomas gave him a big old hug. Yeah. And he's the only guy that voted against his bill.
You did what I would have done, Clay. That's probably what he was saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your integrity inspires me. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. And that's what inspires me about Thomas Massie, is his integrity. Mm-hmm. And so here's what happened. We were knee deep in this pipe bomb stuff, last fall. And my phone rings, and it's Massie one day. And of course, since his wife had died, I had not heard from him. In fact, I had an appointment with him on the very day that his wife died. I was covering a trial or a hearing in the district courthouse on the other side of the Capitol building from the Rayburn office building. And that morning, and then I had like a 1 or 1:30 meeting with Massie in his office building. And so I start walking across the street, about 30 minutes early, and I'm halfway, and it's a long walk. Um, and I'm about halfway there, and my phone rings, and it's his chief of staff telling me, he said, "Man, hey, we're going to have to reschedule this. The boss just got an emergency phone call back in Kentucky. He just flew out of here like a bat out of hell. He's on his way home right now." Well, I come to find out the next day that his wife had died, and he just got the phone call while I was walking to my meeting with him. So I had not heard from him since then.
Mm.
And so we're in the middle, he's, in of this, investigation at the Blaze, myself, Joe Hanneman, and the rest of our team. We've released a few things leading up to big disclosures, and all of a sudden I get a phone call, and, pleasantly surprised to see that it was Massey calling me. And he said, "Hey man, just letting you know, I've been following your stuff, and I want to, he said, I want to meet with you as soon as possible." He goes, he said, "I haven't forgotten about it." And he said, "But since my wife died," he goes, I've kind of, had to reschedule priorities. And then, cause that was a year and a half ago. And he said, and of course, I've gotten remarried since then." And he said, "I'm back in it." And he said, I really want to be a part of this. And he said, "Oh, by the way," he goes, "I'm still not compromised. They don't own me." And he's telling the truth about that. And so he goes, "Let's get together as soon as you can." He goes, "Where are you right now?" I said, "Well, I'm actually in DC." And he goes, "Well, I'm in Kentucky. How long are you going to be there?" And I said, "Well, when are you coming in?" He goes, "Well, I'm not supposed to be there next week." And I said, "Well, I got to go home." And he goes, "All right." And this was before my heart thing. And he said, "Okay." He goes, "I'll fly in." He said, "Let me see if I can get a flight out tomorrow." He said, "You'll be in DC tomorrow?" I said, "I'll stay an extra day." And he said, okay, I'll be there tomorrow." So he does. He gets an airplane. He flies out. We meet at his house for several hours. I updating him on everything that we had been working on. And then he gets on a plane and flies out, goes back to Kentucky for some, fundraising or whatever he's got to do. And then he's got another thing in Florida. And so he's, but he flew to DC just to meet with me to talk about our, pipe bomb investigation. And so, now let's go back to the Friday before my heart failure. So I get this devastating, shocking news related to our investigation. And I send Massey a private message and tell him I can't and won't either text you or tell you about this on the phone, but there's something you have to know. Mm. And he said, "Okay." He said, "Well, let's see if we can, and Christmas is coming up. Well, Christmas is next week." And it's exactly what I said to him. I said, "That's fine." I said, "I will come to Kentucky, and it's that important." He said, "Okay." So I go home on Saturday night. Sunday, I have my event. I'm at the ER. They throw me into ICU. I have a scheduled procedure then on Monday at like 10 a.m. or something like that, where they're going in again. They're going in this time with lasers, to shock my heart back into normal rhythm. Mm. Actually, this one wasn't the laser procedure, but anyway, they actually put a camera down your throat. They aim it at your heart. So they're going in this way. They aim it at your heart, and then they find the spot where they believe is creating this arrhythmia, thing, and irregular heartbeat, and then they shock you and try to shock it back into normal rhythm,
Wow.
what they call sinus rhythm.
Sinus rhythm.
Yeah,
That's a good band name right there.
yeah, sinus rhythm. So,
Jazz band.
so I had that procedure in the morning, and now that's full general anesthesia, so they're knocking me out. So I'm texting with Massey on that Monday morning, and he tells me, this is before they knock me out. I mean, I've got my phone with me and they're taking me down to surgery. And I've got my phone and I'm texting the congressman, and he's telling me that he found a flight and he will be there at the hospital that evening.
Wow.
And from where he lives in Eastern Kentucky, small airport, he couldn't get a direct flight into Raleigh. He had to fly into Charlotte and rent a car and drive 3 hours from Charlotte to Raleigh to get there by 4:00.
And this is in the middle of the holiday season,
This
right?
is Monday of Christmas week. He leaves. Yeah, he's home for his family, right?
And he's got family visiting, right?
Yes, yeah, he has family at home.
Wow.
And so he and his wife fly to Charlotte, rent a car. I'm having a procedure done under general anesthesia, and I come out of it, and the surgeon, the cardiologist, is telling me what's going on and what they just did. Everything is looking good. They got my heart back into normal rhythm, blah, blah, blah. And I said, can you clear the room? And he's like, what? I said, can you clear the room? Just you. And he said, yeah. So he has everybody leave. And so I tell him that I need them to run additional toxicology, more advanced toxicology reports or examination, and that I need my reports, all of my records forwarded to some guys outside of DC. And I'm trying not to, sound like a, schizophrenic, weirdo tinfoil hat guy. And he's like, it's exactly what he said. He said, and I explained to him why, by the way. And he said, do you have anybody in your family that can verify or validate this story you're telling me? And I said, yeah, but I said, I won't need to. I said, the congressman will be here in about 2 hours. You can ask him yourself. And he went, what?
Awesome.
I said, yeah, he's on his way. And he was like, oh, okay.
Very well then.
Yeah. So Massey and his wife arrive about 4:00. I look like, hell warmed over. And I'm not even, I haven't even been in the hospital for 24 hours at this point. And they show up in my room. Both he and his wife lean over and give me a big hug in the bed. And then they sit down there. My daughter's there. I have one of my, had a security guy there. And so I proceeded to tell the story of what I learned on Friday. And then we sat around, we talked about other things, and they spent 4 hours with me there in the hospital. And then about 8:00, they went outside, got in a car, and drove back to Charlotte, where they spent the night and caught their flight out the next morning, Tuesday morning. And I'm telling you, Keith, I don't care what you think about Thomas Massey. That was incredible what he did. I don't know of anybody else in Congress that would have done that for anybody else other than maybe, a close family member, a spouse or a child or something of that nature. And greatly, greatly impacted me, honored, blessed, thankful. And soon I'll tell you what I told him. I just can't tell it yet. Don't have legal clearance yet.
Sure. Do I dare ask you for a timetable, or we're not even doing that?
Can't even do that.
Understood.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll be following your reporting at theblaze.com. Don't forget. In fact, I'll retweet it right now. It's a easy to click link. It's got the searching for article search results. Boy, I am terrible at the English language. Anyway, all you have to do is click it, and it'll take you to all of Steve's incredible work. And there is a ton to read. So, talk to me about where are we now with the J6 pipe bomber situation? Brian Cole remains behind bars, correct?
Yeah, he does. There's been a couple of motions filed by his defense team to get him released on pretrial release. The government has actually broken the law. We have a story. Actually, it's not under mine. You have to go. I didn't participate in writing this story, but if you go look at Joe Hanneman's bylines on blaze.com, I think it's maybe his most recent story came out earlier this week, I think. Basically the government, DOJ, our DOJ, has violated the law and keeping him behind bars. And you think, well, he's a bomber, he's a terrorist, blah, 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 blah. Well, no, even, people accused of what he's accused of are innocent until proven guilty. And then there are processes that must be followed by the government, just like it's, all of the other things when you hear about, everything that, you go through before the government arrests you and indict you and, put you in leg chains and all of those processes and procedures and everything that the government laws that the government must follow to even do those things have not been done in Brian Cole's case. And because of that, he should be released right now. And in fact, that now has been appealed to the circuit court there in DC. Ruling could come any day. Expect it later this month on that. But the primary issue though is that he's not a flight risk. The government itself admitted in court that in fact Brian Cole Jr. is not a flight risk. He's also not a danger to society. His own neighbors are like, this kid is not a danger to anybody. The FBI didn't think he was a danger. Okay, now, Keith, this is the alleged pipe bomber.
Mm-hmm.
He built weapons of mass destruction, potentially targeted Kamala Harris for assassination. All of this is on the table about the kid. He lives in the middle of a upper middle class neighborhood in a cul-de-sac. And when the FBI raided his house on the day that they arrested him, they did not even evacuate the neighbors. Not even the next door neighbor, a 70-year-old couple who the gentleman had a doctor's appointment that morning at 9:00, and the FBI locked them in their home and wouldn't let them leave. Now, standard operating procedure is that if you have a terroristic danger to society who builds bombs in his basement and is going to unleash them upon the American people, is you evacuate the block.
Sure.
At the very least. They didn't even evacuate the next door neighbors. The FBI knew he wasn't a risk, but they're holding this kid.
But he's a mastermind of J6 pipe bomb fun.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
And this is the arrest that was made on Dan Bongino's birthday, right?
Yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah, I just Googled it. So that would mean December 4th, according to the Google here. And check your Keith math here, ladies and gentlemen. Always wrong. But I think tomorrow would be day 100 that Brian Cole has been behind bars. This is so un-American. This is the kind of stuff that you tell your kids. I'm sorry, let me back up. This is the kind of stuff you used to tell your kids. Boy, at least we don't live in that kind of country. I mean, this is wrong.
Yeah. And then to portray, as you said, to portray this kid as the mastermind. We've released a series of stories since then. One of the most significant stories that we released is that the 2 Capitol Police counter surveillance officers who work for the Intel Division of the Capitol Police, when they were dispatched after the discovery of the first pipe bomb before 1 o'clock on January 6th at the Republican National Committee. Actually, it was behind the Republican club, which is called the Capitol Hill Club, which is just next door to the RNC. The bomb was behind the Capitol Hill Club. And so when that bomb was discovered by a woman by the name of Carlin Younger, then 3 different pairs of counter surveillance, undercover, plainclothes, however you want to describe them, officers were dispatched to go look at and look for more suspicious devices or bombs. And this one particular pair, we have never named them. We do know their names. They were dispatched to look for devices. We captured them in their car, arriving at the Metro South Station in D.C., which is right across the street from the Capitol Hill Club and the RNC. We see them getting out of their car on Capitol CCTV video, and we follow their entire journey to where ultimately they found the bomb at the DNC under that bench up against the bushes at the DNC at 1:05 p.m., 5 minutes after 1 o'clock. The problem with them is on their journey, they didn't spend any time looking for devices at all. They were most of the time on their phone as they're walking down the sidewalk, just looking at their phone. They don't look in trash cans. They don't look behind fences. They don't look behind shrubberies. They don't look behind anything under cars, nothing. They're not looking for devices at all. Instead, what they do is they walk past where the bomb is at the DNC. They literally walk straight past it, walk then to another bush at the Congressional Black Caucus Institute. There's a bush there. They beeline it to that bush and look under that bush. And then 2.5 minutes later, they find the bomb under the DNC bush. That's the only 2 places they looked. Now, why are those 2 places significant? Because it's the only 2 places the night before that the hooded mystery bomber sat down. The mystery bomber sat down at the Congressional Black Caucus bush first, and then delivered the DNC device and put it under that bush while sitting on a bench. The only 2 places that person sat down on that person's journey the night before was those 2 bushes, and that's the only 2 places those 2 counter surveillance officers checked.
Well, maybe those cops that were assigned to look for the bombs are clairvoyant. Maybe they're just like, hey.
Or maybe they knew where they were supposed to find them, which means then that Brian Cole, if he's a bomber, had to be in coordination with, in a conspiracy with the Capitol Police, or at least elements of the Capitol Police.
So the bomber, it seems like,
yes,
Brian Cole Jr., of course, the suspect here, is so connected to the Capitol Police.
Yes.
That he was kind enough to tell them ahead of time so they knew where to look.
Yes, a 25-year-old black autistic kid with severe OCD was somehow coordinating in a conspiracy with the Intel Division of the Capitol Police. Because that's the only way that those officers would know where he sat the night before. And it was only through his coordination with the Capitol Police that he could possibly know where the blind spots were in Capitol CCTV camera. So he knew exactly where to park his car and where to go back and retrieve the bomb in the blind set for the second bomb, because even the FBI admits he only carried one bomb at a time. And he also had to know, which only the Capitol Police would have known, was the secret latch and gate in the behind the RNC on Rumsey Court that he disappeared to outside of CCTV visage into the darkness of the night.
No,
through a secret gate. Now,
yes, but I think I cracked it. I think I cracked your case. You ready for the new lead?
Yep.
The evil mastermind in all this is his pet Chihuahua.
Yes,
that he walks every day.
Right.
And I mean, I feel bad. Honestly, I feel bad for him and the Chihuahua being separated for no good reason other than pure evil at this point. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you to make a stupid comment about a dog.
Well, the Chihuahua is probably, an alien.
Yes, they are. You heard that, Matilda?
Yes. Okay. They are aliens, especially Matilda.
Yeah, that's a fact. Okay, so what were you about to say? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, this is the absurdity. Now, they can create all of the credit card purchases of wiring and clips and pipes and they can produce all of this over the course of 4 years. He started making the purchases in 2018. He continued making purchases after January 6th. And in fact, some of the items that were key and used that were essential elements of those 2 pipe bombs weren't purchased till after January 6th.
I cannot take this government.
Then, Keith, we found...
How has this not been thrown out?
We found his car at, oh God, I'm going to miss the time, at 8:03 p.m. on the evening of the 5th, a mile from where the hoodie bomber was walking.
Okay.
His car is driving and turning on the interstate to depart DC.
How are you able to piece that together?
Capitol CCTV. We found he has a 2017 Nissan Sentra blue. We found during this timeline, the timelines of, roughly, an hour before, hour after, we found 3 blue 2017 Nissan Sentras. We also have the VIN number of Brian Cole's actual car. With the VIN number, we know the trim package of his car. Just when you talk about trim packages, that means different types of lighting, different types of door handles, different types of trim. You have, there was that year, I think there was 17 different wheel options. Okay. 2 of those cars were completely different trim packages. And in one of those cars from Capitol CCTV, we could actually see, we got a clear shot inside the window, and we can see 2 white people in the front, in the driver's seat and the passenger seat.
But you just told me he was black.
He's black. We see his car. We found his trim package.
Okay.
We found his car, but it's a mile away from where the hoodie is walking.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, at the same exact time. And his car was getting on the interstate to depart DC.
But that's not where The bombs were placed at that.
But that's not where the bombs were placed.
That's interesting.
And according to Google Maps, where we saw his car and tracked his car, it would have taken him on normal average traffic time 7 to 8 minutes to get to Folger Park, where the FBI claims that the hoodied bomber parked the car.
How has the judge not thrown this out yet? You don't have to answer that. Just know that your government is.
I'm going to tell you, Keith.
Everything sucks.
Joe and I were talking about this morning, and the new story that we have filed, which is part 3 in our kind of inconvenient truths about Brian Cole's arrest. Part 3. I'm hoping that it will be published on Monday morning. It is such a powerful, impactful takedown of the case against him. I won't get into all it because I don't want to steal the thunder of the piece itself. But I'm just telling you, Brian Cole is not the bomber. And
agreed.
And we talked about it this morning. And we believe that this story may actually, well, as Joe put it, he said, in a perfect world, in a sane world.
Yes, I say this all the time. Preface it. Yep.
Yeah. With the release of this story, the judge should just throw the whole frickin' case out. Look at the DOJ and FBI, chastise them, remand them back to the drawing board.
Honestly, now, a case like this in a sane world, in a world that makes sense, especially when combined with so many other stories and cases, it should be the end of the FBI.
I'm not going to discredit or contradict that statement at all. It should be.
Is that non-alcoholic you're cracking open there?
I am cracking open the Athletic Brewing Company Run Wild non-alcoholic IPA.
You gonna bring me some when you come to Dallas again? Some of this non-alcoholic stuff. See if you can convert me.
Oh, we'll go out. They'll have it. I mean, they'll have it at the bars that you and I have gone to.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. Just sitting around two guys drinking non-alcoholic brews. And
we can drink. Now, this is my fantasy, Keith. So since I've started these, I carry them in the car. And in my car.
You want to get pulled over.
I want to get pulled over.
Yes.
I want to get pulled over. And I want the cop to say, yeah. You've been drinking? How many beers have you had tonight? Oh, I don't know, 8 or 10.
I gotta pee, man.
and he's like, what's in your cup right there? Oh, I got an IPA. Let him smell it.
It's a beer.
Have him get me out of the car and have him make me blow.
Oh, right. Yeah. Let's see if
I want to see the look on his face.
Yeah. Until the joke's on you, Steve. Mr. Baker, I didn't pull you over because you're drinking in the car. I pulled you over because I got a call from Washington that said, make this guy's life a living hell.
Right.
So, okay, this is there's a lot going on with this J6 pipe bomber story, and Brian Cole Jr. and being behind bars for now 100 days as of tomorrow.
Yep.
What is going on that we don't see? Maybe you're privy to. I don't know. With his attorneys, the family of Brian Cole, what are they doing to try to get him free where he belongs?
I'm really impressed with what's happening. I actually, for the first time 2 Fridays ago, I was able to put my eyes on Brian Cole. And by the way, when I say 2 Fridays ago, I think, because seriously, that's one of the side effects of this cocktail that I'm on is I do have it creates confusion, blurriness, memory lapses, and so
Joe, is it called Joe Biden disease?
yeah, it's not quite that bad.
Okay.
But it's just like a few minutes ago, I was describing due process, and I couldn't remember the phrase due process. And so I don't remember whether it was last Friday or the Friday before. I think it was the Friday before. There was a status hearing in Brian Cole's case there at the district court in DC, and I was there. And so I got to attend that, and I got to lay eyes on Cole in person for the first time instead of by photography and videos. And I probably outwardly went, I could not believe how small a man he is. He's a tiny guy. And of course his coordination, his walk, nothing resembles the pipe bomber, which is the primary thesis of our story. I will at least say that about our story. Part 3 of our story coming out is that nothing about his physicality works. In fact, our video expert, the open source video expert who's done so much of our video work for us, who we refer to as Armitage. We don't use his real name by his choice for security reasons. And he says he told me, he said Brian Cole's entire body is an alibi. Now I've extrapolated that, and I've changed the last word and said Brian Cole's entire body is exculpatory. So either one works.
Right.
But that's the thesis of our new story coming out. And we get into we have expert testimony, we have law enforcement testimony, we have photography, video, we have comparison videos that we're going to release that the world has not seen yet. And all of this is accompanying our new story coming out next week. And so with that in mind, going back to the courtroom issue, I got to lay eyes on Cole myself, but I also got to spend time with, and this answers your question, his legal team and his family. He has a great family. His mom, his grandmother are just really, really quality human beings. They love him. They are committed to making sure that he is exonerated. They know more than anybody. He didn't build any freaking pipe bombs.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're all suspects if our Home Depot purchases. Hell, our Home Depot purchases that happened after the date in question. What's the saying? You find me the guy, I'll find the crime, or whatever.
Yeah. Show me the man, I'll show you the crime.
Yeah.
I mean, look, in this country right now, there are, I won't put an exact number. We'll just say millions. Let's say 1 million to 10 million garages, basement workshops, and storage sheds on American people's property, their homes, with those exact items.
Yeah.
For all manner of reasons.
And it's like, if you were gonna do this, and if his motivation was, I'm so upset about the election, then everything should have been purchased between Election Day and January 6th. Not 3 years, 4 years before, after the date in question. And this is absurd. I want the next 10 generations of Coles to live in luxury.
Right.
Off of a lawsuit against this ridiculously evil government.
I totally agree. I hope that they get $100 million. I agree. What they have done to them is evil beyond evil. But anyway, I've met with the family. I spoke to the family members, spoke to the legal team. I get the sense that they're very committed to this process of getting him fully exonerated. I know that the government obviously what the government is trying to do by keeping him and holding him illegally in pretrial detention is that because of his severe OCD, they're trying to sweat him out and wait him out for a plea deal. They want him to plead out so he can at least, so that he'll get some, super special deal where either he gets a year in a a luxury white collar rehabilitation facility or mental health facility that works, that is specifically designed for people with his unique abilities and that sort of thing, and then maybe home detention for 3 years after that, or something really, 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 really special. And then of course under the table a big fat fucking wad of cash.
Honestly.
Yeah,
part of me
absolutely
wants this over for Brian Cole tomorrow.
Yeah.
The other part of me wants this to go to trial so these sons of bitches can be under oath and caught in their dreadful lies in a courtroom. And I want punitive damages. I want this to hurt, and I want this to be the end of the FBI once and for all.
I'm going to tell you, the government does not want this to go to trial.
Right?
They absolutely do not want this. Discovery is a bitch.
Yep.
And the trial is even going to be a bigger, more nasty bitch. And they cannot, I'm going to tell you something else, Keith, and I've said this before. They cannot win this case in front of a DC jury. And everybody goes, that's not true. I mean, the federal government wins, 99% of their cases in front of a DC jury. Of course they can win this. No, they can't. A DC jury is not going to convict an autistic black kid with severe OCD. And I've had other people go, oh, that's just not true. They convict black people all the time. I said, really? Okay. I said, I'm not going to name who, but I had dinner with a mainstream media correspondent, very well known, one of the biggest mainstream companies on the planet, when I was in DC a week and a half ago. In fact, it was on the night of that court hearing that I was just talking about, the evening of. And I told him that there was no way that a DC court would convict Brian Cole. And he goes, don't know about that. And to which I said to him, I said, there were 2 oath keepers that were not convicted of their accused crimes. They were acquitted. I said, what was the unique and different characteristic of those 2 oath keepers compared to the others who were convicted for their January 6 crimes? And of course, he knew the answer because he covered those trials. He said, the 2 black guys. I said, yep. Because you're going to get a 70 to 85% minority jury in DC, extreme hard left voting record. 95% of them will have voted for Biden and Harris. That's the jury pool. And they are going to see the evidence and the counter evidence. They're going to see the exculpatory evidence. They're going to see his car a mile away from where the bomber was walking. They're going to hear the story that, well, the only way you can absolutely convict Brian Cole is you got to prove that he was in the middle of and participating in a conspiracy with the intelligence division of the Capitol Police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Brother being railroaded by the
right.
man.
This is a brother being a mentally challenged brother being railroaded by the man. Ain't a chance. And the government attorneys know this. The DOJ knows this. They cannot convict this kid, and they're going to have to jam this into a plea bargain deal of some type. That's the only way they win this, because a plea deal is guilt, right? It's an admission of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the plea deal unless you admit to your guilt. And so they're going to have to do that in order for them to be able to go, okay, we solved the pipe bomber case, and damn it, now we do not have to go after the CIA and the Capitol Police. Oops, did I just say that?
I'm sad. I'm sad to think what is happening to Brian Cole's mental state. The rest of his life is I mean, they're stealing days from him.
Yeah.
For one, but the stress that he must be under, the mental anguish, and every day, they're in there trying to get him to. I mean, I guess they. Yeah. What do we make? Because whenever you talk to somebody that isn't following this, they say, "Well, he confessed."
Right.
What do you need, man? What do you say to them?
I can show you the book cover of a book written about the fact that the highest percentage of those who give false confessions and admit to crimes they didn't commit come from autistic individuals. The highest demographic of false confessions come from autistic. Now, this particular young man was interrogated for 2 hours, had all of these things put into his head. The FBI interrogators took a 20-minute break. When they came back, his head was laying on the table, and he raised his head up and said, okay, I'm ready to confess to everything.
Okay.
And then he said that he learned the route of how he was going to, place the bombs on the evening of the 5th from Google Maps. Well, let me tell you 2 things that are not on Google Maps. Placement of the blind spots of Capitol CCTV cameras, nor is the secret gate that departs Rumley Court into the garden of the Catholic Church in the darkness with no cameras on it, where he disappeared into the night. That's not on Google Maps. But the Capitol Police would know where they were.
Whoa, where'd that come from? What? Whew, brother, do not stop. Do not stop.
Not going to stop.
Do not stop pursuing the truth. Let me ask you this. You mentioned Brian Cole has a court appearance coming up soon. What's that for? And
I mean, he's got another scheduled. I don't think their next scheduled status hearing is until April 24th or something like that. I think I was there when they scheduled that. But there's the appeal of his pretrial detention is now before the appellate court, the circuit appeals court. So
why do you think they didn't let him go home even under house arrest until the next
because they keep him in discomfort? He's more likely to accept a plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is a literal 5 minutes to Wapner kind of guy.
Yep.
I mean, okay, so I interviewed the 7-Eleven store owner, where for 13 years, okay, you talk about 5 minutes to Wapner, for 13 years that we know of, because the store franchise owner who I interviewed in person at the store had owned that store for 13 years. And he said that they saw him every day for 13 years coming into the store, where he would purchase 2 Coca-Colas and a pizza for 13 years. Always had his headphones on, never spoke, never interacted with anybody. The store owner said to me that in 13 years that Brian Cole may have said a grand total of 3 words to him in 13 years.
I can't. It's sad. It breaks my heart, man.
This is a kid that his schedule, his habit, his walking the dog schedule, Uh, his headphones are his whoopee. Anybody remember what the whoopee is? It's his security blanket, because even the FBI allowed him to take his mugshot
Right.
with his headphones right there, just like I have them right now around his neck. Probably try. Now, you've never, I dare say that never in the history of the planet Earth has law enforcement allowed somebody to do that before.
No
But
props.
but they probably tried to remove it, and he probably freaked out or something. And I
compromise on that.
I don't know, because I haven't asked his family, I haven't asked his attorneys yet, although I intend to, what kind of accommodations that they're making for him. I mean, certainly he's being held in solitary, because they're not going to put him in the general population. I just don't believe that they would do that. He does not comfortably interact with other people, as testified to by the 7-Eleven store owner. You would look, right. You and me, if we went to any place once a week or once a month for 13 years, we would know the staff. They would become family, whether it was a restaurant or a store. We would, and especially when it's the same people there for 13 years, because it's a family-owned store, and they're there. It's the same group of people there for 13 years. These are the, you every day you walk in, it's hey, no, it's Norm.
Afternoon, everybody.
Right. It's
give me my non-alcoholic beer that Steve keeps raving about.
Right. And you chat about what's going on, what's happening today. How's the kids? How's the family? How's your mom doing? It's great. Send them my love. I mean, you develop relationships like that. They're casual relationships, but they're friendly relationships over the course of time. But Brian Cole never did that, as the 7-Eleven store owner told me, that in 13 years he said it's the same thing every day. He said he would always come up, he would get the same thing. He said on the days when we were out of pizza, because 7-Eleven does run out of pizza. He said on the days when there was no pizza in the rack, he said, I would always offer him to make him a fresh one right then. And he said he always denied it and got chicken wings instead. He said, so if they were out of pizza, which was rare, but on the days that they were out, this was the routine for 13 years. Always got his 2 Cokes, got his pizza. On the day that there was no pizza in the rack, every single time he was offered fresh pizza, every single time he got wings instead. And then every single day when he was checking out, the clerk would always, or the owner would always say, hey, thank you. And in 13 years, Brian never acknowledged them, just would walk out the door. Creature of habit. Yeah. 5 minutes to Wapner.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're trying to do. I can't.
It's enraging.
Yeah. I'm going to think that amongst the jailers, there has to be some humanity there, and that they are making some accommodations for him. That's what I'm hoping.
I hope you are right.
Yeah,
do you know, and I am just checking right now. Do you know if there is his family? Have they set up anything like a GoFundMe or anything for his legal fees?
To my knowledge, no, and that is an issue. They are up against the deep state in this,
oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right, because they'll just confiscate your money as part of your punishment, as we learned from J6 defendants.
Yeah. They're up against the deep state, and our DOJ. So they're fighting against an unlimited, resource of funds to prosecute him. And I know that finances are an issue in terms of coming up what's necessary to win this battle.
So they're trying to wait out the family, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, I don't know if they have done anything either in the background. I haven't seen, and we're not aware of anything. And I think we would be aware because we certainly would be promoting it. And then then everybody says, "Oh, so you guys are just activist journalists." Yeah, in the Brian Cole case, I am an activist journalist.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, ditto. Okay. Yeah, congratulations. If you're at work right now, or you went to work today, or your tax dollars hard at work prosecuting the individual that Steve Baker just described. Okay. Last question for you on this. If this does play out and continues along its merry trajectory toward a trial, is it any way to predict when this would become a public trial?
No. I
Okay.
mean, these things can be drawn out. I mean, there could be a trial by the this year. If it gets that far, it could take 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These things can be drawn out by either the government or the defense team, depending upon who thinks they have the advantage, the disadvantage of by more time, that sort of thing. And you don't want the defense team drawing this out 2 years if he's being held in pretrial detention.
Right.
On the other hand, if he's in home detention at his grandmother's house, as she has offered, then heck yeah. And by the way, remember I mentioned I don't see that there's any reason why he just can't go home.
Right.
He lived with his mother because his own neighbors love him. They don't fear him at all. They don't consider him a risk. The reason why they don't consider him as risk, as one of his neighbors, a law enforcement individual, by the way, who has lived there just a few doors down from him for 10 years. And he and his wife have seen Brian walking the dog, the Chihuahua, every day, twice a day for 10 years, have said when they saw the video, just even the few seconds of video that the FBI has released of the hoodied bomber, they're like, I mean, it's like, it's a joke to them.
Yep.
They know the neighbors know he is not the bomber because they know how he walks.
Right.
And it's not the hoodied bomber. And I got to be careful on some of the things I can say and can't say for a variety of reasons. But this law enforcement individual, neighbor, who I have personally interviewed standing on his front porch, just doors down from Brian Cole's house. Not only does he say there's no way that this is the bomber, but he describes in great detail, the awkwardness of how Brian moves, how he walks, how he does not interact with people, the neighbors, We're all, it goes back to what I said about going to a store every day for 10 or 13 years or whatever. You get to know the people, you talk to them, you have a conversation with them, maybe about the weather, maybe about what's in the news that day, maybe about your own family, but you get to know each other. Mm-hmm. And that kind of relationship is not something that Brian builds with people outside of his home or even in the rest of the neighborhood. He's walking the dogs every day, but he doesn't stop and interact. He's isolated, and this is what the neighbor told me, is he's isolated in his headphones, and that's all. He's in his own world. 5 minutes to Wapner.
Well, I know he's plotting his next pipe bomb situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, give us a little tease of what we can expect in this part 3 of the J6 pipe bomber story. Coming up, hopefully what, in a few days, hopefully
Monday.
Okay.
Sometimes when we file a story of this magnitude on a Thursday, there's no way they don't want to release it on Friday because Friday's, the worst day for a big story. And Monday's not necessarily the best day. They'll hold it till Tuesday, but it should be early next week, assuming that this story itself clears legal and clears, 5 layers of editorial review and all the other things that our stories have to clear.
All right.
Monday or Tuesday, and as I said earlier, the thesis of this story is that if you measure the physicality of Brian Cole to the person that the FBI has shown us a few seconds of video of, even using the few seconds that they've shown us, it ain't him. And by the way, we have a lot more than a few seconds.
Yeah, it's a very limited video. I'm glad you mentioned that. Has any of that video been manipulated at all, do you think? Or
absolutely 100% proven.
Oh, really?
Frame rate reduction.
Why would they do that?
Aspect ratio reduction.
It seems like when they were looking for the suspect, you would want as clear of a picture as possible to share with the public to maybe pick up on details that someone might recognize. But you're saying
if you reduce it to 1 frame per second, then you get claymation stop action.
Okay.
And you don't get to actually see.
Oh, you don't get to see how they're walking. Oh, and then maybe it's if the quality of the video isn't as sharp as it needs to be, maybe you miss out on some of those identifying details as well, huh?
Yeah, but when you do the real work and you do the hard work and you go out there with a tape measure and you measure the pavement and you measure the concrete blocks and you measure the bricks and you measure the gutters and you measure the grass between the curb and the sidewalk and you measure the identical bricks that the bomber stepped on, even the stop action thing, you can get things like stride length, shoe size, and you can get even more detailed information about gait because you get to see where and how the feet land. You get to see whether they have a duck walk or they're pigeon-toed.
Well, then, isn't that something? There's one last question before we go. Kara just asked, could it be Walter Masterson? That's the guy who we saw on J6 dressing up into so he would look like a Trump supporter. If this is who I'm thinking of, I may be wrong on this. I think he's the guy who headed over to the Capitol or was suspected of headed over the Capitol. I don't know exactly, but and then appeared in the video in New York in front of Gracie.
The answer is no.
Oh, it's not. Oh, so it's not Walter Masterson.
No.
Yeah. Interesting. You said that very definitively.
I did.
All right. Very well. Steve Baker, incredible reporter. On top of all aspects of this case, you have done so much impressive and difficult work, and to the extent that it is affected your health. And my dog right now, Tanner, he's upset that he can tell I'm wrapping up the show. He's sad that you're leaving us here, but please keep us updated on everything. Follow Steve at Steve Baker USA. Go to theblaze.com and go to the search. You go to theblaze.com, you go up to menu in the upper right corner, you type in Steve Baker, boom, all of his awesome articles come up. Please read his work because it is very impressive and very thorough. And as always, we're grateful to have you a part of our show here, and we hope to do it again sometime soon, brother.
Always welcome and always a pleasure for me as well. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, brother. Okay, so guys, 22 hours from now, we'll do the Friday live stream. We'll have some fun. And like I said, if Kelly's not here, see that? I got the Iranian inspired thing for Kelly and Rebecca. And go and enjoy a alcoholic free beer tonight. And think of Steve while you do it. Because
I need to get a sponsorship.
Yes.
I'm going to work on that.
You're not the only one that needs a sponsorship. All right, everyone be safe tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, 22 hours from now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, buddy.